All right, we're back. Episode 3 of our Plex report.
Woo!
Again, I'm James Adair with Neo Home Loans, joined as always by Sorcha Porter from Living Room Real Estate, where we talk about our favorite home for sale and look at the best way we can imagine adding income to the house. And we focus on first-time homebuyer type properties, owner occupied, but with people with an investor's mindset. Like, how can you buy this house and monetize it in a number of different ways beyond just getting roommates? That's kind of the premise of this show.
Yep.
So, Sorcha,
Our goal is to make little investors out of all of you.
exactly. Something we were talking about before we hit record was I've been doing this for 20 years and I'm an investor, right? I own some multiplex properties that I've acquired over the 20-year period of time I've been doing this. But the idea of buying an owner occupied property and thinking of ways to make income has never really been on my mind. But since we've been talking, I see everything differently. And I see, whenever I see like one of my realtor associates in my Instagram or my Facebook feed, they're, posting listings or whatever. It's like the first thing I think of now is like, oh, could that be
make
something
income?
you could turn into income? And it's really changed the way I look at real estate, and I feel inspired for the first time in a long time, because affordability has really been a huge problem, and it's added a lot of tension to the home buying process for first-time home buyers.
Yeah, I think, I've always had the mindset in literally everything I do is like, how can I make money with this? Like the
Yeah.
first time someone brings up a new idea to me, I'm like, could I make that into a business? Could I monetize that? So it's really a natural progression for me to get into real estate and specialize in income properties. And so that's like all I talk about. And it's really exciting when I meet someone else who's like, yeah, it's a cool thing. And that's like why we made this channel
It's more than just a cool thing. It's almost like, I don't understand
why more people don't do it.
Well, I don't understand how you could even hardly function without at least having a plan,
Yeah.
a backup plan to make
I think
money,
that's like the
right?
big thing is like, so many of us are told it's part of the adult experience and the American dream to buy a house.
Right.
But not every house is a good investment, and not every home will make you money. And if you are someone who's thinking about buying a house, like asking yourself why. And for me, it's like, if this isn't making me money, which allows me to better my life and better myself, why am I doing it? But a lot of people don't have that mindset. They're like, I should just buy the house because it's a
Right.
good thing to
Well,
do.
for so many years, the difference between their mortgage and the rent, that wasn't that huge of a leap.
Yeah.
And it just made all the sense in the world if you were like, well, I'm going to be here, we're having kids. Like, if you're going to be in a certain place for a certain amount of time,
Yeah. To
it was
lock in
just
your
sort of like
costs.
irresistible financially to buy a house.
Yeah. It's like, well, that locks our costs. We won't ever have our rent go up, which are
Exactly.
real benefits to home ownership,
Right.
but they are not the only ones that you have
Right.
to look at. And I
It's
think,
still true, and I still think all
yeah,
of those benefits of homeownership still apply
they do.
in this new affordability, strapped market we're in. Um, but I'm just so thrilled that people can make, and it's a little bit of a lifestyle choice sometimes. But like, for instance, let's get into this property that we identified today, because this is a little unique. It's not a duplex, and the
Yep.
income play isn't necessarily roommates.
Landlording.
Oh,
Yeah.
this one's got an interesting way to add income streams to it. So let's get right into it. I'm going to switch my screen so you can share, and then you'll talk about it. The house is on 7618 Southeast 67th Avenue. We're recording this on June 5th. And it's listed by Amanda Hayworth from Neighbors Realty here in Portland. And it's got a cool thing. So I'm going to share my screen. Why don't you start talking about it?
Well, so this property is interesting because in addition to the 3 bedrooms, 1 bath in the home, it also has a huge detached finished structure that's called a pole barn, which
Right.
is
So,
in
so
this.
this is the house. I
Yeah.
brought the image up here. So this is the house. It's like your classic starter home, really sort of small, kind of humble, but very tidy out front.
Yeah.
Some
We call
easy
this clean.
landscaping. What's
Very
that?
clean. Very clean.
Yeah, and the interiors look really good. I mean, it's like turnkey. This is really well staged, but the floors look sharp.
Like, it looks like you
Everything,
could move in here
yeah.
tomorrow.
Based on the pictures, I really don't. There's nothing glaring about this. This is very clean and easy, um, easy living, right?
Yeah.
So everything's got some life in it. The carpet looks maybe new. Um, anyway, just kind of cruising through here. But yeah, the income. This is the story right here. This
Yeah.
behind the house,
This is the part that is interesting to me as someone who's like, "How can I make money off of that?"
right?
First and foremost, the structure itself, but this side yard here, this hard packed gravel side yard and that long driveway,
Mm-hmm.
those are also opportunities. You know, in the city of Portland, we have very little storage for recreational vehicles,
Mm-hmm.
like public storage options. There's almost none. Most of the places where you can park an RV or a boat are 25, 35 minutes outside the city.
Yep.
And they run you, you know, 3 to $600 a month to store.
My family rented an RV a couple summers ago, and we had to meet the guy at this place called like Tow and Stow or something out in Tualatin. It was far out of
Yeah,
town, and it was like it was RVs everywhere, boats everywhere. I can't imagine how much he paid to store it there, but we did that
yeah.
like outdoorsy. It's like the Airbnb for RVs. But yeah,
Yeah,
someone
and,
would
like,
definitely.
people the thing is that costs people money, and it also costs them time when they have to store it so far away from where they live because particularly here in Portland, space is at a premium. We don't just have, like, lots where you can lock up your stuff. You either need to have, like, RV parking on your property or you're paying to store it elsewhere. So if you have a spot like this where maybe you don't have an RV, but you do have a spot for one,
Yeah, you
you
could
could.
tuck it right in.
Yeah,
This would be a really safe place to put it too. It wouldn't be out front. It wouldn't be visible to the neighbors.
yep. And like you just like anything, you write up a contract, you agree to terms, and it just sits there, not bothering you, but making you money every month. My
Do you have a
grandparents
sense
pay
of what you might be able to charge for that?
on the low end 300, on the high end 6. My grandparents pay $600 a month to stow their 40-foot RV. So it really depends on how long that driveway is. If it's big enough for a larger rig, storage space for those is even more limited. The
Wow.
biggest thing is that you need to vet who's stowing it there and like create specific terms around how often they can access the property. You don't want people showing up at your house at midnight rattling around in an RV or boat. You
Yeah,
want to,
you'd want to write up like boundaries
you know,
on
hours
like
of access and
hours of
whatnot.
access and sort of like give me 24-hour notice when you're going to come, blah blah blah, that kind
Yeah.
of thing.
But like 300, $400 a month, super, super realistic.
Wow, that's amazing. So let's go inside here, well, because there's more opportunity inside. So here they've got, the big sofa, and you can't really see it, but there's definitely a bed. Looks like
Yep.
a maybe a queen or a double bed back there, and it looks like a little desk with a computer up here. So this someone's got like a tiny little efficiency space.
Yeah.
Um, we know there's no bathroom, but I don't know what's on the other side of this wall. You can see the vaulted ceiling. So
Yeah. It's hard to
this
tell
wall
if it's
goes
like storage or what. Probably storage is what I'm betting.
This
But I
wall goes
also
right
see that,
down the middle. It goes right down that,
yeah.
where can it goes, well, where's the best picture here? I think it goes right down the middle of that spine, the
Yep.
roof line there.
That's what it looks like. And
So,
I'm gonna bet storage or like workshop space, but that's other uses for it. You could rent out the space as a workshop to somebody who needs space for a workshop.
right, those huge table saws and jigsaws
Yeah,
and all
it's
that tool storage.
it's got power, it's got air conditioning, or at least it looks like it does.
This has got the ductless like mini split. Looks
Yeah,
like right here, on at least on that side.
and
Those
like
things are cool.
as long as they keep making people and they don't keep making land, people will need spaces to rent.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
So,
So
like,
this
this would be an ideal spot for, like, an artisan carpenter or maybe someone who has, like, a small bike repair business. You could rent this out as a space for someone who has a small side gig or hobby that doesn't have the space for it. And at that point, the way you find out how much that is by, like, researching other places for rent and
Yeah.
then comping your space lower because it's not a formal commercial space.
So
Um,
let's say we did one half of this to, I like the idea of a bike repair situation or something like
yeah.
that. um, because you don't want a ton of noise and you don't want a bunch of smells coming over this little pony wall, right?
Yeah.
This is shared space. To me, this would be from an income perspective. I don't. It doesn't. I think this is way more functional as a short-term rental, not a long-term
Oh,
rental.
yeah. I would add a bathroom there,
Hmm.
and I would run a sewer line from the house to the unit. It's not a long
You probably
distance.
have to what, tear up some of this.
You might have to remove some concrete. It will depend on
Not
where.
remove. You'd tear it up, lay the pipe, and then you'd refill it or
Yeah.
whatever, right?
You might have to remove some concrete. It depends on where the bathroom is in line with the back of the house there. I can't tell from the photos.
Yeah.
But it has electrical running to it already, so it has electricity, so all it needs is plumbing, and I think if
Right.
you put I know because I have a unit like this, I know if you put a bathroom in there, 100 to $125 a night conservatively if you dress it up really cute.
So what does that translate to per month? So it's the 365 times 125 divided by 12. I mean, are you serious? That's $3,800 a month.
You have to account for a certain amount of unoccupied time. I usually recommend estimating your occupancy at 60%, so
Okay.
60% of that number. It's usually higher,
That's
but I like.
$2,200 a month.
Yeah.
That would be crazy. So let's say 22.
And
Okay, let's just, because my mind is blown on that. Let's just call it $2,000 a month short-term rental.
yep,
So we got 2,000 for the bathroom
yep,
added section here. We've got, let's call it 500 for the RV. So now you've got $2,500 coming in. Not even talking about your bike repair business that you've got on the other end, or just tool storage.
yep.
Let's just eliminate that because that just
I
seems
mean, you
so
could do
wild.
it though. That's the thing. This property has so much possibility. Now,
I
you
know.
should account for the cost of adding a bathroom legally to the space,
Let's call
which would
that
probably,
$15,000
yeah,
probably.
15, I'd say 15 to 20 for a basic one. It depends on how
Okay.
fancy you want to be. I would go basic with this space. This isn't like, we're not talking luxury hotel, and the location isn't like, Hawthorne or anything, but yeah, I think a nice
It's
space like
not
that.
bad. Let's talk about the location real quick. If someone's watching this and they're in the Portland marketplace,
It's not a bad location by any means. It's a good
no,
location.
this is tucked in. This is Flavel Street, which is a little bit of a through street, but it's not that busy. It's on this, it's called Brentwood Darlington neighborhood, which is just down the slope from Woodstock. So Woodstock up here has got all kinds of grocery options, restaurants, brew pubs. This is a very vibrant
I
little
think
commercial area.
I think we're not seeing the,
Oh yeah,
map that
sorry.
you're on.
I'm going to share this tab. You're
Okay,
right.
cool.
Here we go. So I thank you for that. So
You're
the
good.
house is located here. This little green dot on Flavel Street, Brentwood Darlington neighborhood.
It's
So
on a
you could zip
cul-de-sac.
right over to the freeway.
Yep.
You could ride your bike easily. Probably not a bad walk, honestly. This is probably
Yeah.
less than a
It'd
mile.
probably be like a 15, 20-minute walk to the downtown Woodstock area, which has,
Right.
like,
And
what
this is
low.
literally got everything anybody would ever want in Southeast Portland.
Yeah.
It's got it all. It's got ice cream, like indie ice cream. It's got indie burritos. It's got a New Seasons. I think it might even have a comic book store. Like it's got,
Yeah, there's a ton. I mean,
yeah,
there's so much fun stuff to do in Woodstock, and it is
yeah,
walking distance. So
yeah.
it's not, and there's good public transit access through this corridor as well.
And
So if
you've
you have
got
to,
Reed College right here too. When you're talking about possible rental potential, I mean, someone could
yeah,
maybe
rent it
rent.
to. There are things with college rentals that I will get into maybe on a different episode that you have to consider. But yeah, you could totally rent that to a Reed student for $1,200 a month if it had a bathroom. Like, that's not
Absolutely.
unreasonable.
Absolutely. All right, let me
But
get back to the numbers here. So I'm on the lending side. I like to work up what are the, and so this is listed for sale at 450.
yeah,
And so I've got three options lined up. So 450 full price with 3% down. I've got an entry of 6.625 plus the taxes, insurance. Um, Again, the property taxes here are pretty low, 280. I've got 75 bucks a month for homeowners insurance, and then the mortgage insurance is another $101. The net monthly payment 32.50. Okay.
and I
Uh,
would, if you're going to operate, like, renting your space out as businesses, I would
mhm.
estimate your insurance cost at an additional $25 a month,
Up
just
the
because you're
insurance.
taking on some extra liability, but
That's a
it's
good.
really marginal.
Property insurance is going up like crazy this year, by the way. That's another topic, but
Yeah.
that's just something I'm seeing. And also, I've seen a handful of insurers are pulling out of the state of California because of wildfires. Like, stuff's getting really kind of wonky in insurance. Anyway,
Yeah.
different. Let's not get distracted. Let's focus on the numbers here. So 450 purchase price, minimum down payment. Your total cash to close is less than $25,000, and your monthly payment is 3251 in this example. And
Yeah.
we've already shown you how to knock $2,500 off of this payment. So if we do 3251 minus 2,500, I have to use a calculator because I don't want to mess it up. Your net carrying cost is $751 a month.
Where can you rent that in the city of Portland?
The whole house. You get the whole house.
You can't. The answer is there's nowhere. There's nowhere you can do that. And that's the cool thing. That's the cool thing when you have properties with like potential like this that you can do.
So
Like,
that's just like the full Monty right there, full price,
yeah,
minimum down payment. You're not asking for anything. But if you ask them for the seller to pay for a temporary 2-1 buy down, your payment drops by $484 a month. So it's like you're almost living for free and you have no roommates in this
not before
example.
taxes. Before
I know.
taxes.
I haven't even talked about the tax benefit. But I'm showing you 484 per month. And then I also threw this in here too. Like if they had to hold, like not every seller is willing to chip in a $10,000 credit, but if they wanted 450 and you wanted the $10,000 credit, you could add it to the purchase price. So buy it for 460 and
Yep.
then have them back out $10,000 for you. Now you've got a 2-1 buy down. Your payment is subsidized for the first 24 payments, and it starts at 2820. So
Which
this is
means
like
you could live
very
for
doable.
free
What's
for
that?
at least the first year.
For the first,
You
exactly. But and you
could
kind of
live for
step
free.
your way back. Ultimately, you're gonna step up to the 3250. But it looks like that for every $10,000 in price, just for frame of reference, if you're watching this and months have gone by, for every $10,000 in buying power knocks about $52. It's about $52 a month, right?
Nice.
So, but you can still access it for just under 20. This is now showing $26,000 total out of pocket cash to close. That's your down payment, your fees, your prepaid taxes, your prepaid homeowners insurance. This is a very precise accounting of everything that would need to go into this. And you could drop your rate by 2 points. And this is the 2-1 buy down on this type of program does have a little rate premium. So this is not a 6.625 rate. It's a 6.87. So it's a quarter higher in rate, but -2 for the first year. So that's why the gap is slightly different. But that's
And the advantage to this is someone who's looking at a house that's like going to be an investment in the way that we're looking at this for a first time buyer
mhm.
is that it buys you time to let rates come down
Yes,
and to rebuild your financial reserves. Most of the time your first home takes a lot of your finances with it.
right.
And so the big thing is buying yourself buffer time,
That's right.
you know.
So if you, for instance, if you didn't do the buy down and you just bought it at 6.625 and then rates dropped to 4.875, which they absolutely, I am convinced that that will happen eventually. I don't know when, but it will see those rates again. That's not an absurd mortgage rate to ponder. So if that happens, your payment would go down by about $450 to $550, depending on how much you've paid the loan down before that happens, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And then you've got $2,700 a month. Maybe you've got the RV piece. You turn this into a rental. You can rent out your 3-bedroom house to the Reed College kids
Yep.
years into the future, and you can buy the next house. And this thing's probably going to be cash positive, right?
Yeah, I think it would be realistic within 2 years to have it be cash flow positive on the month-to-month side, and then you
Unbelievable.
also have to remember that Portland's been increasing in value by, like, 13% average across the city, so you can just, like, add your equity to that as well. So I think this is a really cool property for a savvy home buyer who is willing to do some hustling to get their property rented out, and you wouldn't have to share your living space with someone to do it.
I
So I
love
think
this.
that
I love it.
it's
And
really
it's not a
cool.
duplex. Right. That's right. And the
Yeah,
price
it's not
is
a
great.
traditional duplex.
But I think it potentially is more valuable. So duplexes are great
Yes.
because they have another whole other house that's already like squared away. There's a kitchen, there's everything's there, bathrooms. But when you go to sell it, the market for duplex is always different. They're not going to appreciate the same way. This is like a great starter house. This will always be a great starter house.
Yep.
If you could buy this, turn it into that income piece, you probably never want to sell it. But if you did want to sell it, you've got this cool story to tell. Like, look at all these ways you can make money.
Yeah.
You could probably charge a premium. You could market it.
Well,
Um,
and just like it's so marketable to so many people. How many people when they look to buy a home are really wanting like project space, are really
right,
wanting space to park recreational vehicles. This house has it. And if you're a first-time buyer who doesn't have those things, you can leverage those to make money. But if you're going to sell it, 5, 10 years down the line, that will appeal to a lot of different people.
right.
So this
More,
house
yeah,
has both resaleability that's very high, as well as marketability for income that's very high. And it's unique and it's not something that a lot of people know to even think about. So that's like kind of the whole thing behind our channel is like we want you to open your mind and your brain to the different ways that you could be leveraging your home to make money because the reality is like are you going to use that side gravel patch for something? Probably not. Probably it would
well,
just be a driveway.
I mean, so many first-time home buyers are creeped out by the idea of a $3,200 mortgage payment. They may be renting something
For
right now
25.
for 1,500, and to double your housing expense just seems like, you know what, maybe I can't buy a house. Maybe I'm priced out.
But the
And
reality is the advantages of home ownership, of locking in your costs, of the income stability and the equity piece still remain even at the higher per month price point. And interest rates go up and they go down all of the time. You can count on the fact that they will probably go down. So if you can ride it out at this price and wait till interest rates come down, you can
yeah,
refinance and then be super cash flow positive on this home.
that's always the story I'm trying to tell. Real quick before we sign off, I just did some really down and dirty math on how much income you would need to support a purchase like this. And it's much less income than you might think. People can oftentimes qualify for mortgage payments that they are uncomfortable with or seem absurd. But the math is the math. And I'll ask you a question. What do you think? What's the income needed to buy this with a minimum down payment and carry a $3,200 mortgage payment if you have no other debts?
If you have no other debts,
Yeah,
I'm gonna guess 75K.
you're so close. God, you're good at this.
Thank you.
$77,000. And
That's
so if
tough.
I divide that by 52 weeks, divide that by 40 hours, 37 bucks an hour. So if you and your partner collectively make 37 to $40 an hour, if you each make $20 an hour and have a good credit, a good full-time work history and $25,000 cash, you could do this.
You can. That's pretty stinking cool.
I know. I love it. Awesome. Well, I'll look forward to episode 4. Thanks again
Yeah.
for your time. Very cool
Likewise,
property. And
um, make sure you subscribe, drop
oh
us a
yeah,
comment, tell us what
I'm
you wanna see, and if you are looking for a realtor in the Portland metro area, please feel free to reach out. Even if you're not looking for a realtor in the Portland metro area, I would be glad to refer you to a realtor in your area who understands these concepts and principles. And if you're looking for a lender in 48 of the 50 states in the United States, give James a call. He can help
not
you
going
get
to
some
say
money
which 2 states I'm not licensed in. You got to call me to find out.
there.
Uh, but it's most of the good ones. The
Most of the good ones.
I'm licensed in most of the good ones. I'll just say that.
All right,
We're
cool.
based in the Portland, Oregon area, and what else can I say? Oh, I'm going to put links to this property. I'm going to put a link to that mortgage analysis and a link to the Tiny Empire Group website in the show notes here on the YouTube channel. So uh,
Cool.
check it out for more details, and yeah, we'll see you out in the field.
See you out there. Bye.
Bye.